3, 2, 1. Now we're live. Ooh, somebody is echoing.
Yeah, I'll go on silent. That will help.
Yeah, you have 2 on, so you gotta mute 1. Okay. Now that went away. Okay. Well, thank you guys for coming. This is our very impromptu working meeting for the 7-Eleven committee. Last week we were able to have very good discussion and come up with a plan of action. And so today is one of those days that we decided we would use as a working day to further the cause of you all accomplishing the task of putting this report together. Let me do a quick roll call. Jeff Downing, Sharon Coco, Kathleen Lang-Newman, Karina Sanmiego, Felix Lechner, Liz Fisher, and Noli Della Rosario, I'm sorry. And then here comes Therese right now. So that rounds out our 7. So I just lost my train of thought. I apologize. So I forwarded to you all last night the meeting minutes from our last meeting and wanted to find out if there were any comments, corrections, or clarifications that need to be made on those. Yes, Liz.
Okay. Yeah, just at the very end of those minutes,
Uh-huh.
I think it's in the first paragraph of the next meeting date. It ends with a sentence that says that will be compiled in the draft, I think is what was intended. It's just
It's there's space that needs to be eliminated. Okay.
Anyway, it's just minor thing, but
I will make that note and make that correction as required. Were there any other comments, clarifications, or concerns about what was prepared? Okay. With a show of hands, can you all approve those minutes with the notes or corrections noted? Yes, Sharon. So, oh, you're raising your hand. Okay. Show of hands.
Well, you need to have a motion first and then a second, and then you vote.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. Motion to
So
approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the amended minutes.
And is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right. So Jeff, excuse me. And Therese seconded. Okay, thank you. Next item on our agenda is the review of the draft template. So let's pull that up real quickly and see how far we got. Was everyone able to access the file? And were there sufficient permissions for everybody to gain access to the documents and actually work on it? There it is. Okay, I'm gonna pull it up and then I'm gonna share my screen with you all. And can everybody see the report? I can't see you guys, so just say yes or no.
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So let's see, let me just quickly move through. Oh, you guys have done a lot. So here is the executive summary. Are there any comments or questions on this one, or is there information you guys would like to add to this? I see that Liz worked on some and Sharon has worked on some, and Jeff is in the document right now.
So when I tested these hyperlinks,
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking that maybe an appendix might be in order. I don't know if we want to just refer to certain things or in some cases actually add them to an appendix.
I think that's fine. I like appendixes because it allows you to look at the main body of your primary document and then have a point of reference. So it's not occupying space and you have to sift through it. So we could always make reference to it and then put it in the appendix.
Right. So like this point here could maybe be in the appendix, just the whatever's on board docs, you know, and one could insert, you know, see appendix 1A or something to that effect. I don't know.
Okay. So is this particular item when the committee was formed?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right, so we can just go ahead and make that reference. Let's see. Purpose of the committee looks like it's pretty clear. Are there any adds to the purpose of the committee? On the purpose of the committee, I think that it's important for us to talk about I mean, our primary goal is not just to surplus the property, but to look at options for the property's use and then determine if it should be declared surplus. And I think the statement that we have in there, you know, declare surplus to the district needs, and if so, recommend a plan for use of that surplus property.
Yeah, that maybe is a little overreaching,
Yeah.
perhaps.
Yeah.
I agree.
The wording from the letter that came out said that the district formed the committee to make a determination on the use of property that can be earmarked surplus for the school district. That was specifically what the letter said from the board to the people that were put on the committee.
Oh,
I wonder if that is referring to the question of whether it be sold or leased, that kind of a consideration.
Make a determination on the use of property that can be earmarked surplus for the school district. That's in the first paragraph of the letter that went out on August 31st.
Hmm.
And
Yeah, I have that here.
I don't know, well, maybe we want to put it exactly as it's written there. I don't know, it just seems awkward the way that it's written now. But that's just my
no, I agree.
Should we use the wording from that October 19th board meeting where they approved establishing a 7-Eleven committee? Because it says the purpose of the committee established in Ed Code is to advise the board in developing district-wide policies and procedures and the use of disposition of school buildings and space not needed for school purposes. This committee may be formed to evaluate multiple or single potential surplus sites, but the committee must evaluate district-wide issues even if formed regarding a single site. That's directly from the presentation that was made on October 19th.
October 19th of 2019, though.
Correct. When they established the committee or the
Yes,
task force.
There was an
whatever.
establishment of the concept, I believe, of the committee, and then there was a notification to the people who were selected, which was a little bit more broad or not as wordy.
Right.
I don't know what you would call it.
Okay.
But we certainly should not go beyond anything beyond what the board specifically said, either in the October meeting or in the August meeting. I
August,
think we really need to limit ourselves to that.
Okay.
That's my personal view.
Agree.
So we can strike pretty much what's there now and reconstruct it between those two documents. Or choose one of them and put it in.
Already?
Maybe going back to what Jeff said, perhaps it's better to cite the October 2019 meeting of the board, because that's really what the purpose of the committee was. As it's currently written under referencing 2020 dates, it's more about the assignment of people to the committee rather
Correct.
than the establishment of the purpose of the committee. So I would say use the wording from the October, I would recommend using the wording from the 2019 October meeting
Okay,
of the board. Don't you think, Jeff?
That's what I'm thinking. I'll try to type something in the document that you guys can look at, and we'll see.
okay, I like that.
And I'm wondering on that last sentence of that initial paragraph there, there's either declaring it surplus, or if it's not surplus, how it would be used in the district. So, for instance, for the Spanish immersion program, which obviously might not have been considered, but I'm maybe, I don't know, I may just strike that last part and see whether it should be declared surplus to the district's needs, period.
I thought when we were chartered, my understanding was that it was not to be used for educational or whatever purposes within the Fremont Unified School District.
True.
So it seems to me that the chartering of that made some further restrictions on what we could do. So if you start, the looser the looser the language is, the more difficult it gets us in terms of what they directed us to do, I believe.
Right. Well, and I guess I'm trying to think creatively here. If this was a different scenario, some school districts actually open up like medical facilities sometimes, community centers, and while it may not have been used as an educational thing, I guess it could have been looked at as a potential place for health services. And yet, even though we didn't talk about that in particular because of our circumstances, you're right. There could have been some potential other uses. So, we leave the sentence in there. Like, I just don't want people to get confused with surplus and how it would be used as surplus. It's surplus, or how would it be used within the district?
Mm-hmm.
Where was the initial statement from that we were given in terms of what we could not use it for any Fremont Unified School District purposes, academic or otherwise, right?
Certainly not with students, not academic, for sure.
No, but it also, I believe Kelly said it could not be used for storing things or as a meeting place for district employees. There was a very specific list of things it could not be used for. And Liz, I think you're introducing a whole nother thing that we have not discussed over the last 4 months, because we were given very, very narrow, I believe, guidelines for this committee.
Right.
Well, go ahead.
I just want to make sure, Kathleen, that are we talking about the same thing? Is this section about the purpose of the committee or about the restrictions that apply to the particular site, the Marshall site? I think that the restrictions with respect to instructional use are part of the site, not so much part of the charge of the committee. Is that correct?
Sharon?
Correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm trying to recall. We just are going to make a recommendation to the board. we either declare it surplus property or we do not. And then they have a whole bucket list of things or checklist that they have to go through to determine how they want to proceed, but I'm not sure that I'm clear on that. In other words, they have to go to the city or the parks or the whatever. So based on the input from the community, I think is what tells the board what they would like to see in terms of how this property is used. But we're just going to tell them, yeah, we agree it's surplus property and now do what you're supposed to do, kind of a thing. So I don't know if I'm right or I'm wrong. And
Well, and I think I'm just wanting that sentence to be very clear, and I think the part where it has, and if so, sorry, I'm out on the patio. It should be, and if not, to recommend. You know what I'm saying, Sharon?
but yeah, and some of this language, remember, was taken from those templates, language that they used in their determinations, because those two districts were doing a much broader look at all facilities. They were looking at childcare, early childcare, those kinds of things. So this was just language that sounded like maybe it's something we could use or not, but it's taken from, bits and pieces of this are altered and taken from those two documents. I don't know if that helps or not, but
No, I think Liz is right. The intent doesn't come through the way this is
No.
worded.
it does not.
So I just want to chime in, looking at that formation and the presentation that was made. It's kind of simple. It says our ultimate deliverable is to create a set of recommendations to the district board as to how it might maximize the use of district facilities to both serve the community and generate revenue.
Oh, wow.
That is the
Really?
ultimate goal. Yep.
Oh,
So
that's very different.
so I went ahead and took the language out of this purpose and made a new paragraph. I haven't deleted anything.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't know if you guys can see that.
No.
So here's what I take pulling the language from that presentation. On October 19, 2019, the FUSD School Board authorized the creation of the 7-Eleven Committee to advise the board in developing district-wide policies and procedures in the use or disposition of school buildings and space not needed for school purposes. This committee is formed as a way to secure community involvement, to avoid community conflict, and to ensure use which is compatible with the community. The 7-Eleven Committee is instructed to produce a set of recommendations to the FUSD School Board as to how it might maximize the use of district facilities to both serve the community and generate revenue.
wow.
That's good.
That's very good. Mhm.
Yeah.
Can we, Jeff, can we use the word maybe disagreement or something like that instead of conflict?
We can change it however we want. Like I said, all I did was I pulled the language from the presentation and
Right.
just dropped it in here. So
And
this
Kelly?
fits with what
Yes.
we asked us to do.
Can you increase the size? It's a little
Yeah.
hard to read.
Sure. Oops, no, that's not the right one.
Talking
You do.
about the
Um,
screen size.
Oh, well,
Kelly,
there it is.
Control plus on your computer.
There we go.
I tried it. It didn't go very far.
How's that one? Is that better?
Yeah.
I did it to 125.
Yeah, that's better.
Okay, let's see. Is 150 better?
Oh, that's much better.
Okay, I'll leave it at 150 then. And then we could, oops. I just have to be mindful. All right, so this is the purpose.
So
All right.
instead of conflict, Felix, you say disagreement.
Yeah.
I just think conflict happens somewhere else. I don't think we have that.
Okay. So I changed the wording if you guys want to.
Actually, you know what? I wonder if we should just take that part out, just say to secure community involvement and to ensure use which is compatible with the community.
Yeah.
That's even better. Yes.
So then do you want to simply that second paragraph just to at least show that there were 2 meetings that occurred to basically put people onto the committee?
No, I think we need to keep this simple. This is the purpose of the committee.
Okay.
Yeah,
Just
I think
keep it.
the other needs to come out.
Mhm.
So I've removed it.
That, whatever that was could go into the, under the meeting information, if you wanted any part of that paragraph or a sentence from it or whatever can be added. Under number 5.
Okay,
You don't have to, but I'm just saying, if there's any part of it, like there's some dates, maybe not.
okay. So are we on to 3 then?
So,
Right.
so you know, I copied that paragraph and just moved it down to number 5.
Okay, just so it's there, that's fine.
So it's there and we can pull
Okay,
language from
so
there.
then it's here. Okay. All right, so if we go on to number 3 now, this is the charge of the committee, and this looks like it was taken directly from the ed code.
Yeah,
Okay. You guys have any comments or changes on this one?
We weren't charged to review projected school enrollment.
that's part of what would lead us, I think, to our decision. I'm thinking, whether or not we need it as a facility
Yeah.
to house students.
Well, and I think for this one, because that was an empty school, that really wasn't something you guys looked at for this particular piece of property, but normally we would look at enrollments
Right.
to determine if there was a need for additional space.
But we did not in this case, and so it should not be, it was not a charge to the committee.
Felix, you had your hand up?
You know, I looked at this list a little bit because obviously this is something that obligates us as a group. And I'm also very grateful that Karina is present because she might be able to advise us a little bit, if she's allowed to, what we need and don't need to do. I think that some of these points, like Kelly said, simply are not applicable because the Marshall site is not eligible for use as a school. So it doesn't really make a lot of sense for us to review enrollment projections because if we can't use it for a school, it doesn't matter. And so I'm more or less confident that we've done all these things, except some of the language is a little strange. And I think it was point D, which is currently off screen, that I've read 5 times and I can't figure out what it means. If Karina could maybe briefly explain what this, let me just pull that up on my own screen here.
Make a final
What did
determination.
what are limits of tolerance, please, in that context?
So I'll just first answer the first question. I think you're right that you have complied with the statute in that the enrollment was provided to you all and you reviewed it. So that's the checklist, right? You checked it off. So I think we're good there. And then with respect to sub D, this is for situations where you are charged with looking at all the sites and the facilities district-wide. And in those circumstances, a lot of, or some districts, they will look at, for example, a school site, a school building, half of it is being populated and the other half is being unused. So they will determine that half of it is surplus and do a joint use or have some sort of agreement with the city or something like that. So that's what it means, is kind of determining how much usage you can get out of a building and to what extent, once you determine that building or facility is surplus to the district's program.
So
Does
it's
that make
it's the
sense?
tolerance of the district or let's say it's a school site
Mhm,
of what they can live with that might be placed on
mhm.
their site. Like they don't want a senior living community right there if it's an
Sure.
elementary school.
Yes.
So that kind of,
Yes, those kind of
Okay.
recommendations.
so are any of the, I mean, should we take this out or leave it in, I don't know.
Kelly, can you show us number 5, what they're discussing? You stopped at C and because it's
Oh, I'm
enlarged.
sorry. Here we go. How's that?
Okay.
Just
So Felix, which one were you having trouble with? E, which we can't see.
I just wanted to make sure, Kathleen, I mean, like you know, I worry about the fact that we as a group did the right thing. And it's certainly my first time on a body like this. And as I read this with great interest, and I didn't understand the language of point D, but you know, my sense is that with respect to the Marshall side, I think we've done. I mean, this section really applies. Like when you have like lists of properties, we already had the site kind of given. I guess we kind of we didn't. I think the process that is envisioned in these points is a little different, where you start out with all the properties and then you look at which ones you don't need. I think much of that was already done for us when we got started. So I think we're fine.
Yeah.
Kelly, can I just, right now we're drafting this document as part of the Marshall specific for the presentation, but this
Mhm.
part is
Mhm.
something that we're going to be able to redo when we start talking about the horse property in Patterson Ranch.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So just reminding everybody too, this part can be a little bit more broad. We did talk about demographics
Right.
that come up, and so I think that A is appropriate for the big scope that we're doing, because we're just going to take this part and we're just going to copy in the next report before we get to the meat and potatoes.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Nope, you're absolutely right. So do you guys still want to, are you done with A through F, or do you want to go to the last paragraph? And I believe this statement here, before the district property can be marked private use or development, this is also language taken directly from the statute.
Yes, it was in one of the other reports, but it was with the statute. Yes.
Okay. And Karina, is this sufficient for what our needs are?
Oh,
Sorry. There you go.
Oh, can't hear you.
I think it's sufficient,
Okay.
but I also did send Sharon the statute, so I don't know if you want to make sure that it
I will.
includes everything that you want to.
Okay. I'll double check it just to be
Okay.
sure.
Okay. And if we move on to number 4, committee membership, I believe this is just taken directly also from our board agenda item, which was taken directly from the Ed Code, specifically identifying who the members were. And, you know, I was wondering, do we have to put their names, or can we take Jeff's name out? Karina?
So do you all have a section of the names of the members or no?
Not
Okay.
yet.
Were
No.
you going to do that or not? You don't
Well,
have,
that's up to the committee.
Yeah.
On one of them, they had them on the front page. They listed
Mhm.
it under the logo, so that could all be pushed up and the members could be placed there.
Mhm.
I think in addition to the list of our names, we should probably have the descriptors for what parts of the community we may represent. Landowner, parent,
Right.
professional.
There was on one of the examples that we got, they actually had a section that had a table input, and it had the member's name and the area in which they were appointed to serve. So if you want a table in there that has that, we can do that, but
So,
so you want the name and the area of representation.
yeah.
Okay.
So if I'm reading the makeup of this right, it says it must be representative of each of the following. It looks
Right.
like we're supposed to have at least one person from each of these 7 categories to make our minimum.
Right.
Kelly, you are not a member of the committee, correct?
No, I'm not. I'm only a district representative assisting in the facilitation of the
So
process.
who's our administrator on this committee?
Therese, your administrator.
She's a former though. She's not a current.
Right. She's a former, I'm a former, so that doesn't work.
And I'm a former. So,
Right. You too.
So I don't believe we have an administrator, and if we're required to have one,
I don't know, Karina, how do you interpret that?
I think
No, sorry, Noli. Go ahead.
No, I don't have anything to say.
Oh.
I'm listening.
So I thought Sharon is not currently working with the district.
I'm
Yeah,
not currently, yeah, I am, but I'm working as a sub and I'm not in an administrative position any longer working for Kelly.
and I represent FUDTA. I was administration until my position got cut, so I'm a teacher.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I was an administrator, but I'm retired.
Right.
That's right.
But Sharon,
So-
were you an administrator at the beginning of this committee?
No, I retired 3 years ago. No, sorry.
Okay, I tried.
I know. Maybe could
I'm-
put former administrator in there. I don't know.
I'm available for temporary hire if needed.
Okay, can I ask something? This administrator, does it have to be with the Department of Education, or an administrator could be administrator of anything, right?
Yeah.
DJ still, is he gone?
I would, and I'm sure Karina could probably clarify. My understanding is when they say administrator, they're talking about an administrator within the district.
Okay, go. Okay.
Okay. All right. What do you think, Karina? Is it administrator within the district?
Yeah, it should be. Kelly, I think we should talk offline about this.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, I honestly don't have an answer, so, but Karina and I will huddle together and come up with something.
Well, Kelly, when you went to the board, how did you present the 7 members?
There was a ballot.
An actual item, because the list identified what, what category they filled. So, I don't know.
Well, maybe we can pull that up, Kelly, and then we can talk later.
Okay,
Okay.
that's fine.
I
So.
mean, Marcus has
put
been at
question
most
mark
of the
next to
meetings,
this.
so.
Oh, and it says here. to
You
list
can
the
look
names.
at board docs.
Okay, and here it says Marcus, myself, and Karina acted as staff to the committee.
Right.
Reviewed recommendations, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that seems fine. So I guess right here is where we can insert the table with
Right.
everybody's name and their role.
Right.
Okay. The next item is the meeting information. And these are dates based on actual, agenda items. Then we held our first meeting. Oh, I have to go back in the minutes and see. I think it was October, wasn't it? Or was it?
I put that's highlighted because I have a suggestion there. I think it's in, if you accept the suggestion, it'll update.
Populate.
Okay.
We had a meeting on September 29th. Was that the first one, I think?
Yes,
The committee met Oh, was there a September date as well? Oh, that was the initial meeting for the ground rules or something, correct?
Yeah, it's September 29th.
And then October 29th, November 19th, and December 10th in 2020. And then the committee reconvened in 2021 with meetings in January on the 14th, 21st, and 28th, and on February 11th. This is just, you know, to make the document complete, that is our plan, so.
Okay.
And it's not February 11th, it's February 4th, right?
Oh, is it?
Yep.
I'll fix that.
Okay. All right. Okay. Then we can finalize those dates after we get all of our
It's not, it's February 11th because February 4th is the committee feedback meeting. And we were going to meet one
Okay.
more time after that.
so the final for the
Thanks, Carrie. Okay, I know, I just heard it ringing. I've been in a meeting, and it's like, oh, okay, thank you for taking, thank you.
February 10th.
11th.
Oh, I mean, not February 10th, February 24th.
Kelly, if I may say something to my fellow committee members, I had the benefit of watching Mr. Battle's budget presentation yesterday, and it seems to me that we really have to work on this and get it done. I think the school district really needs us on this one.
I think you're right.
All right. So does that last statement work for everyone? An additional meeting was held on February 11th, 2021 to finalize the recommendation to the Board of Trustees on February 24th.
Yeah.
Okay. So our method of public notification. So we used, we used FUSC website. We used Bright Arrow, flyer that was emailed to parents and staff. There's a banner that is going to be posted at the Marshall site.
Yeah.
And the other thing was it's posted on the bulletin board. At each district office. Posted at the school site.
Right.
On the front door.
And I think Bart pushed the meeting date down to every school site. So if I don't go to the district website, but I go to Horner's website to see what's going on, the link will be there as well.
Sharon, were there also mailings in that particular area? I think the flyer doesn't refer to property owners, right?
Not that I'm aware of. No.
I can check with Brian because he said he was going to check on that.
Yeah, I don't know that they were mailed to those addresses. But one thing that I did learn yesterday or this afternoon is that you can, I believe, attach the flyer. Somehow Bright Arrow has the capability of attaching that information to a flyer. When they send out the Bright Arrow, they send it to those people's email addresses that we have on file for Bright Arrow in that area. So I don't
So that
know.
would be
We
voice,
can check to see if that can be done.
notification. Right? There.
And I believe, I don't know if he did or not, but I think you requested that it be translated, correct?
Yes, I did.
Into Spanish and into Chinese. So
Yes.
that families receiving that Bright Arrow will get the message in their first language.
How do I get rid of this? Oh, I just keep messing this up. I'm gonna
Right,
come up.
it's just leave it. It can be smithed after.
As you all can see, I'm not that well versed in all of this stuff. That's why it takes me so long.
It's okay.
Oh, and then by posting, just add link by sending, blah, blah, okay. And the 7-Eleven committee report, I guess, would be inserted here
Yeah.
or a link. Insert a link or list reference to. Okay. All right, the committee findings and recommendations.
And that was a header that was in one of the examples.
Okay.
So whether we use it or
Do
not.
you guys want to list some of the findings and recommendations that you guys have come up with so far? Or do you want to spend more time in coming up with that?
Well, just looking at this, I don't see a need for having 8 and 9 both.
Okay,
Okay.
I mean, I think
That's fine.
we make a recommendation and
And that's it.
Yeah, and we still have to, at some point, input the community comments.
right.
so maybe we just delete number 9 and include this paragraph under 8.
Or we make 8
Comment.
the comments from the community meetings, and then 9 is our final recommendation.
Findings. Okay. Committee forum findings, okay.
Well,
And then there's your.
you have 7, 8, and 9. 7 is the report, 8 is the findings, and then 9 is the final recommendation. So somewhere in there, I'm finding, are we going to put the community input into the report section and then go down to the recommendations and the final findings and recommendation?
I thought that's what number 8 was going to be, is where we're going to put the.
We're going to use that.
Comments.
Right.
So are we keeping 7 and what's going in there?
7. I don't know. I leave that up to you guys.
You guys still have access to those examples that Karina sent us
Yes.
from Poway and from,
Uh-huh.
I would suggest you just give it a cursory review and look for those sections in there and see what they've included and see if it has any significance to you. I put the header in there because it seemed to be in, I believe, both in some manner. So these were just my suggestions. They don't have to stay. But if you know what they put in there, it might help define how we do those last number 7 and number 8, or if we only need 1. So Kelly, I have to be out of here. They're setting the alarm
Okay.
in 5 minutes. So I'm going to log off so I can get out of the computer and get locked up here. Thank you, guys.
All right.
I don't want to get locked in. Thank you.
All righty. See you later. Thanks, Sharon. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing my screen because we've gone through the entire document. So if there's other changes that you all want to make, please feel free.
Actually, there
to-
are, because when we got to the final, let's see, where is it? The findings section, maybe? Or final recommendation? I'm not sure. Anyway, I put in four paragraphs that you might,
I just looked at as of accepting them. I don't know where they went.
okay, you need, they're the last suggestion on this document.
Okay. Because when I go over, let's see. No, I'm not suggesting anything. I don't want to add a
On
comment
the
either.
very end, the last page.
Yeah,
Okay.
I approve those.
Nope.
So I assume that they went in.
No, I don't see them. So the maybe it's,
I just hit the check button on them, so I
I
don't know why.
they were there and I can still see them on.
Yeah. Huh. Well, I'm gonna stop sharing and we can always go back into the document. Let me go ahead and close this out and see if they'll reappear on my computer again. That was really weird that they just kind of
Yeah,
disappeared. Oh, draft template.
I
Okay.
can put it in the chat if it's not showing up for whatever reason. It's
Yeah,
very long, but
for some reason it like took all of the comments out. I don't have those little boxes anymore.
you're not in the wrong viewing option.
Okay.
You have to be the author, I think, in order to look at the suggestions that other people are giving you. If you're also a suggester, then you may not be able to see the suggestions of others, maybe. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
We could see
Let's
all the
see.
suggestions from folks, Liz.
Liz,
I think they just got moved.
did it just pop up?
There it is. I just got
I just read her comments, so they should be there now.
okay. Yeah, I just clicked those for them to be added back in. So I'm not sure why it did that, but
Because we still have 10 minutes and maybe we can discuss those.
yeah, that's fine. Let me go ahead and share my screen again.
Felix, you
with
have your hand raised?
all. Yes, Felix.
I just wanted to briefly point out that it is somewhat inconsistent with our charge to make any judgment with respect to the instructional use or the ethical nature of future use. My preference, if we would like to have that sentence in there, I think it'd be best to say based on the board action of whenever the board decided that there should be no education or no instructional use. Otherwise, I think it'd be better for us to be silent on it because we don't really know.
Right. And you know, there is that one letter from Kim Wallace to the students of the SIP program. And I would say that needs to be in the document as a reference, you know, because in the minutes, it wasn't captured from the BOE meeting. I looked into that and I found it kind of lacking.
Okay. Jeff, you had your hand raised?
I think it might be a good idea at this point. We've gone through the basics. I'm not sure if everybody has had a chance to read the samples that you put into the shared drive. There are not hyperlinks to other reports. This is the report.
Right.
So if we get a
Which is
chance
why
to read it,
I-
just to have really concise statements in here to make it sure that it's not linked to other things and just keeping it simple. It looks like most of those reports are 7 pages long.
Okay.
You know.
Well, I know there was one that was pretty long, but I think it also covered a lot more ground with.
Yeah, I think the fact that we're just presenting in this case on Marshall on the one property, it just needs to be very short and concise,
Mhm,
as much as we can make it.
mhm.
So for time, it seems to me it might be a good point to give everybody a chance to, with that lens, look it over, maybe make some recommendations on how we can make that concise, and then we can type it in as questions or suggestions and really refine it next week.
Mhm. Well, I did put in some findings, just with the history of the Marshall site, and the changes in statute, which I think we need to make reference to, because people will be asking, well, why aren't we making it a private school or a charter school? It's not required any longer because of changes in statute. So I think it's important to include that somewhere. And then we also have to include the land use analysis that we reviewed. So.
I would agree. I think we can put those in there pretty simply. Felix?
I have one more question. This one is for Kelly. Kelly, I think like Jeff also, I was somewhat surprised that I think one or two maintenance staff spoke at the second public meeting.
Mhm.
And my assumption always was, as we decide to declare this property surplus, that any non-instructional use by the district would fall under the prerogative of management to decide to use it or not use it. Do we have an obligation to decide whether this should be used for storage by the district?
No, and I did talk to the director of M&O, and those two gentlemen that spoke are from Fremont, and they're also residents. So they were speaking from the perspective of, yes, they're employees of the district, but they're also residents of that community, and that was their opinion of what they felt the use of the site could be helpful for. But it wasn't like an official statement from that department or in the capacity of the roles that they hold as people that are employees of the district. So that was one of the things after we had that meeting, I wanted to make sure that that was not their intention. And so Kevin and I, spoke with them and made sure that wasn't the case. And so from the perspective of them being residents and providing their opinion, that's how I believe that we should interpret what their comments were.
Thank you.
Let's see. So I think we got a lot of good work done. I think in terms of the clarifications on the 3 items that we've identified, we've got another week to take a stab at it. And I recommend that, you all do what Jeff said, take a look at some of the other reports and, go over them one more time and see if there's content, format, and overall, intention in those reports, and see if it's something that you all would like to do with regard to the report that you guys are preparing. And so then we can have some more discussion next week when we get together and just fine tune some more.
That's good.
Any other comments, questions, or clarifications? I take that as a resounding no. Well, thank you guys very much for your time again. I really appreciate you volunteering your time to such an important task for your community. So we're making great progress. Don't get discouraged. The wagon is moving. It's not moving really fast, but we're doing it. And I just can't say enough thank you. And we'll get this done though. If there's nothing else, I'm going to conclude this meeting at 4:57. Our next meeting is scheduled for January 28th, same time, same place. And I look forward to seeing you all in a week.
All right. Thank you, Kelly.